Well, this morning we got our first look at Generation 8, and they're dubbed Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Creative-wise, it probably could have been a little better, but here we are, Sword and Shield, and they probably showed more than a lot of us were expecting. They said it'd be about a 7-minute live stream, and it was about, I would say, 5.5 minutes of, like, straight-up gameplay, trailers, and just talking about the different Pokemon, even showing them. To a degree, we pretty much know the starters. We know what the region's called. We've seen quite a bit of, I guess, just the environments that you go through, and some sweeping shots and stuff of the environment and everything. So we did get a lot of information here, which is good. Now, they didn't really show much else in terms of Pokemon outside of the starting 3 and kind of talk about them and go over them, but I expect us to learn more in the build-up to E3, and then, of course, at E3, and then we make the push to 2019's holiday, as they did also confirm that, yes, 2019 is when this is coming out. So I went ahead and pulled some screenshots, and I figure we take a look at some of them here. They seem to be blocking the trailer pretty much completely worldwide, so people are dealing with that right now. I figured I would get some screenshots from the trailer, and we'd kind of go over it, because there are some interesting things here. Now, when I first saw, I guess, just the overall visuals of it, it looks better than previous entries. Obviously, this is going to be the best looking Pokemon game. It could probably look better, and it probably will over time, like as they do more games on the Switch and then the follow-up to the Switch and everything. But this is the best looking game that Game Freak is going to be putting out. We know Town is also coming some point this year, so we'll see how that compares as well. But just looking at this initial shot of kind of the house with the foliage over it and everything, there is some good detail here, but you can also see kind of along the, I guess, the railings there. It does have some of that, like that 3DS kind of low texture look and everything to it, but this is a very colorful, very good looking part of the game here, and it does get better. Like, the character models look better. Obviously, you see around the TV, there's aliasing, so this is probably, for people who didn't like aliasing and some of the other, like Let's Go, for example, this is probably gonna have aliasing, similar to a lot of Switch games, but again, it looks better than pretty much any Pokemon game we've seen so far from Game Freak, and I would like to see them continue working on, I guess, just their visual style going forward. Again, you see outside the house, here's a good shot because it was this big, it really shows off a lot of the environment. The water looks good here. You can kind of see the house looks a little shakier in terms of visuals, but overall it gives you this nice sense of kind of looking out over everything, and that looks good. Apparently it's a fixed camera, though, from what we're kind of gathering here. We need to see more info because they haven't told us everything yet. That's the thing. They've told us some. So you'll have like this fixed camera, either right behind your character, I guess, running up to a building, or looking straight down at them. So here, for example, is one from the side. Again, it seems that the camera is fixed as you run along different parts of the town or out in the fields, because there will be random encounters from what we're seeing, which is something that a lot of people wanted. Although now that we're getting back to random encounters, I see a lot of people who are already missing being able to see the Pokemon in the I guess just the overworld. I did like that in Let's Go. I think that was one of the better decisions that they had made, where you can see the Pokemon all running around and you can kind of run up to the one you want, rather than run around in grass, of course, and kind of get, I guess, run into one and then hopefully it's the one you want. Again, here we are in like kind of a snow environment, and here's a character walking up to that house we just talked about with the water on the left. Again, I mean, it is Game Freak's, one of Game Freak's probably best looking games, but still, I do see why some people are saying it looks kind of like a 3DS up-res game, although I will lean more to the side that Game Freak has made a good stride here and is making a very good looking game for what they've done before. Here we are going through the grass. The grass obviously looks pretty good, and that's where we are now. You run into Pokemon in the grass, and they pop up. Wild battles appear to be back, yes. So there you go. You can do wild battles for everyone who missed that in Let's Go. Trainer battles, of course. And even, like I said, even inside, they have a lot of details going on with the books in the back and just all the different things around the house. So there is some attention to detail here, which is good. Here's kind of what appears to be a nighttime shot of you running through the town there. And then we have, again, under, like, I guess, like the mines and everything and tunnels. This was a good shot right here that I liked because it shows just the overall, like, you can see up the hill in motion, this had kind of sunlight going over it. And this one was a really good looking shot that shows, I think, Game Freak's evolution, no pun intended, with their graphic style and everything and visuals. I think they are making some good strides here. And then this was an interesting one as well, because during this part of the trailer, you see the character kind of walking out into what I assume is just a Pokemon like arena. Maybe it's like the end of the game or something with the Elite Four or whatever they want to call them. But on the back, it's 227. So there you go for Pokemon Day, which is today. Makes sense. And I'll be curious if they have this animation set up for just the Elite Four, or like during online battles, like a loading sequence. You have your character, your avatar that you've set up, walk out onto the field, and then the online battle starts or the tournament starts. That could be kind of cool. So then we start getting into some of the, I think I even have a list here of them. There we go. A list of the different starters. So that's Grookey there. That's probably the starter I would go with. I said I'm Team Grookey, so I'll go with Grookey. But there's also Scorbunny and Sobble. I understand a lot of people will probably go with Scorbunny. It's the fire type, right? So that makes sense. A lot of people like the fire types, but it is probably the one that stands out the most. It's a fast bunny that can light things on fire. As you saw them run away, Sobble kind of put out the fire. And that's probably the one that, yeah, people are going to get into is probably Scorbunny. Sobble, of course, has that very unaware, cutesy kind of look where it looks, Sobble just looks afraid of everything and confused. So again, I get why people like Sobble. I'm going with Grookey, though. He's got the stick. He hits things with it. I'm going with Grookey on this one. Usually I would pick a fire type as well, which is weird, but now I think about it, that I'd go with Grookey, but that's probably who I'm going to go with. We still need to see their final evolutions, right? We're dealing with their stage 1, if you will. We need to see what they end up looking like, because there are a lot of us who will gauge our picks based on what they inevitably turn out to be, because most likely we're going to completely evolve them. So I guess try to picture what you think they're going to look like, because we still don't know. Again, maybe we'll find out at E3, where there's probably going to be a big blowout for all of this Pokemon stuff there. And at that point, it'll probably be easier to decide. But right now, going with Grookey, unless either Grookey's final evolution ends up looking really bad, or Scorbunny or Sobble's look really, really cool, that's the only thing that would kind of turn me around. If I had to pick a second, it would probably be Scorbunny, and then Sobble would probably be third for me. So I'd probably go in this order, actually. Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sobble. But it could change, like I said, as we go along and we find out more about these different Pokemon. I'm okay with the starting 3. Some people said they weren't super creative, but I mean, it's a grass, fire, and a water type, and they just decided to make one a bunny. So there you go. I'm okay with it, though. Again, it comes down to more what their final forms will look like, really. So we found out the region as well. It's the Galar region, and there were rumors going around that it was going to be in like Great Britain. But looking at kind of just the region map, obviously it's a very long map rather than like being kind of like more like a circle shape, or I guess a square shape technically. But you can see it has all different types, with the kind of the colder area at the top, and then it works down to more tropical area, and even like almost like a more forest area at the bottom. I think it's fairly large, and I think there's gonna be a lot to do there. So I'm okay with the region, but we need to learn more about it, first of all. There are gyms in it and everything. If you go to the website at the bottom, they do talk about how there are gyms there, so everything looks good on that end. So overall, I'm pretty happy with what we saw today. I think they gave us more information than a lot of us were thinking they would give us, and Sword and Shield is an okay title. We had some interesting rumors about King and Queen, for example. Sword and Shield is kind of out of left field. I'm probably looking at this and going, okay, I'll probably get Sword to start with, and then if there's anything that I need out of Shield, I'll pick up Shield. But I think Sword is the one I'm going to go with, and I think it also has the better logo because it kind of has that slash through the sword logo. But let me know which one you guys are getting. I also need to know, we need to come up with the consensus for which one of these starters is going to be the most popular. I do think most people are going to pick Scorbunny. I saw a lot of people online, on Twitter and everything, picking Scorbunny. So I'm going to be curious if that is the overall consensus to pick from there. Or maybe you just go with a type. Like maybe you go with water, maybe you go with fire, or maybe you go with grass all the time. I don't know. But I think it's going to be pretty cool to see that. The Galar region looks pretty good so far. And at this point, we just need more information on the different Pokemon that are going to be a part of this, because we really don't know much else outside of the region, the starters, and the visuals at this point. I'm also curious to get everyone's take on the visual style here and just their overall take on what they've seen, mostly because we had those rumors going around about a Breath of the Wild thing moment, and I was very, very hesitant about that one because it's Game Freak, and I feel like they would take very small steps here. I think this is a smaller step, but I think it is obviously the best looking Pokemon game that they've created, and we'll see how they continue to evolve. This is way better looking than the 3DS games, obviously. And I can see why some people see it as an HD upgrade, but it's definitely, they definitely turned up the graphical settings on a lot of these parts, and I can't really play the 3DS games that easily because of how that screen looks on the 3DS, and I'd like to be able to play it on the TV, and this seems like the obvious answer to that for anyone who's a more traditional Pokemon RPG. So far, so good. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I'm on board right now. We'll have to wait till E3 to find out more about it. I also want to obviously find out what Pokemon are exclusive to each version, or if there are any features even. Most of the time it's just Pokemon, so I'm not expecting anything other than that. And then we also don't really know the big Pokemon, the legendary Pokemon that would be on the front that are introduced. So a lot of things to see here to figure out what legendary Pokemon are going to be a part of this, or other Pokemon in general. But let me know what you guys think about this down below. Make sure you like the video if you liked it, dislike if not. And guys, I'll see you in the next video.